Buck is a dog raised in a comfy home in Santa Clara, California, who is dog-napped and then sold into servitude as a sled dog. After a series of wacky misadventures, he eventually winds up in the possession of a man named Thornton, and the two begin exploring an uncharted region of Alaska. However, something is calling out to Buck that's calling back into his ancestry, causing him to reach a primal version of himself that he never even knew was inside him. He's hearing the call of the wild. I hope that made enough sense there, because this movie is, it's not very good. There are some decent points in this. I will say Harrison Ford is pretty good throughout it, and once Buck and Thornton start going out on their little journey and bonding, it does pick up a little bit. Unfortunately, that's almost an hour and a half into this movie. Everything else is kind of set up. Like, they have a couple of interactions earlier, like very early on when Buck first arrives in Alaska after being kidnapped, which is played off really lightly, by the way. It's not treated as like, maybe that happened in the novel, but still, it's kind of uneasy feeling. But yeah, they have a brief encounter while in Alaska where Buck finds Thornton's harmonica and returns it to him, and then they have another brief encounter because the Thornton character, basically his backstory is his son died and his marriage kind of fell apart, and he came to Alaska, yeah, under the guise of prospecting for gold, but in reality he's more just trying to find himself and deal with his own pain. And his son always had a fondness for the Yukon Mountains, and he wanted to try to explore some uncharted areas that were not located on the map. And so that's what's driving him. But unfortunately, it's like the road to get there, yeah, until we get to the point where he and Buck start doing this, it is kind of upsetting, I would say, given that this film is marketed as kind of a fun-time family feature. And I said this when I first saw the trailer. It's like, you do realize Call of the Wild is not necessarily a fun-time family-friendly book. It is a dark and disturbing story about, again, the true primal nature of animals and, again, and how badly we treat them sometimes. And, you know, that does happen in this book. When Buck is kidnapped on the ship to Alaska, he is beaten with a club so that he learns to sit. I mean, the idea is, and the backstory, Buck is a wild, undisciplined dog. He ruins the Thanksgiving dinner. He's put out on the porch, and that's how he winds up getting kidnapped. And like I said, he's then beaten with a club until, you know, he's servitude. He then comes into possession of a Royal Mail Delivery Service in Canada, driven by a man named Perot. That's Omar Sy, I believe is his name, his character. And that's, I mean, most of the stuff you see in the trailer with Buck leading the dog sled, that's that story there. And again, he brawls with the lead dog in the dog sled named Speets, and that leads to some very brutal scenes of, again, dog. It is strange that I'm saying dogs attacking each other, because it's also known that the dog himself is not a dog. It's actually a motion captured actor, a la Lord of the Rings or Caesar from the New Planet of the Apes movies, except, and well, I get kind of the idea why they did this, because they want to try to make the dog look kind of human in some aspects. It doesn't entirely work. Like, I would just rather they'd gotten an actual dog. Like, we don't need the dog to have wacky emotional points and stealing Thornton's hooch and sitting on the bottle so he doesn't drink anymore because drinking is bad. And again, a movie that's being marketed as a family film, there, like I said, there are scenes of, like I said, dogs getting beaten, dogs drowning, dogs tearing each other's throats out, dogs getting whipped, dogs almost getting shot, because again, Buck actually has another owner in between Thornton and I think his name is Perot. That's Omar Sy's character, the mailman. And it's this guy who kind of got shenaniganed into buying what is clearly a dummy map to a phony gold claim, and he's abusive. And like I said, he tries to set the dogs out in permafrost So I mean, the snow is melting, so the sled's not getting through the snow particularly well. They hit a steep hill. The dogs are run to exhaustion to the point that Buck collapses, and it's then that Thornton interferes and he says, "Hey, look, that the river you get there at this river crossing." And he's like, "Look, if you try to cross that river, you're in trouble because the ice is going to break up." And the bad guy goes, "F you," and leaves Buck behind, and you never see the dogs again. And he says they're gone later because the guy comes back to confront Thornton, but I can't say for 100% certainty that, again, the dogs survived. I mean, judging by the way he was treating them, I'm guessing no. And yeah, again, like, you're marketing this to families and it's not family friendly. And I'm not one of those people who says, you only show the good points. I mean, I was a kid of the 70s, well, not the 70s so much, but the 80s and a little bit of the 90s where you did have some dark family features, but this might be a little too dark. And I mean, again, once that bit kind of passes and we get the uncharted region of Alaska exploring, it does kind of pick back up again, and then you get Buck meeting up with a pack of wolves and actually befriending them and falling in love with a white timber wolf female. Again, like, that stuff sort of plays really well, but it takes a long time to get there, and even then, it winds up getting sullied. So, again, it's really hard to try to recommend this film. I do have to give Call of the Wild an F. Again, just it's hard because, like I said, there are some likable aspects of this movie, but it's really just not right to do what you're doing with it. Like, I said it before, this is not a whimsical family fun time film. This is a film that has dogs being abused, and it's not necessarily that great for kids.
Okay, Danny, you get the stick, you get your Alpo. That's a pretty good deal. Danny's a 14-year-old Alpo dog. That's like 98 to you and me.
Oh, yeah, you're beautiful. You know, Alpo's helped keep him healthy and happy for 14 years.
Meat is a dog's natural food. An Alpo beef chunks dinner has lots of meat. Alpo's all a dog ever needs to eat. Maybe Danny's been around so long because Alpo's been around so long, huh? What do you say, Danny?
Okay, trailer time, and well, we didn't get as many trailers as we did last time. We did also get a couple of new ones, but this is going to read as almost an exact replay of last week. I'll just tell you this right now, because our first trailer is Minions: The Rise of Gru. Then we had Peter Rabbit 2: The Runaway. Then we had Onward. Yes, those were the first three trailers we had last week. Then we had SpongeBob Sponge on the Run again. In the Heights again, and then our last two ones are the two new trailers, and that's Wendy. It's from the director of Beasts of the Southern Wild, and it's obviously a retelling of Peter Pan from Wendy's perspective, I guess. Although, I guess originally Peter Pan was kind of told from Wendy's perspective, but definitely had it looked kind of unique, I'll give it that. And then it's the David Copperfield movie that's coming out. I forget what I just had it. It's like I actually looked it up on my phone, and I can't. It kind of slipped my mind as to what it's called again. It's like the history of David Copperfield, or the personal history of David Copperfield, or something of that nature. Okay, so anyway, the next movie is going to be The Invisible Man. The next video is going to be the random trade review on Hellboy Volume 3, The Chained Coffin. I hope you like that one. I hope you actually watch that one, because people seem to tune in for the movie reviews, but not really anything else. See you all next time. Hey guys, remember, you can help support my channel at patreon.com/SleepyTimeForCat Productions, where you can help request a movie, even if it's something like, say, Sonic the Hedgehog or the next Purge film. I'll review it.